So now in this session, let us look into some more block diagrams related to the control systems. So in the previous class, we had taken the definitions related to control system as well as the classification. So therefore, let us continue with the same concept. So we were discussing closed loop control system. So now this was the general block diagram. So where in order to convert the open loop system into a closed loop, we always need a feedback, and that is going to connect output and the input. Now an example for this closed loop system, we have taken a schematic diagram which is showing a manually controlled closed loop system. So this is an example of a closed loop system where an automobile driving mechanism is being shown. So therefore, here the driver's eyes and brain, they form the first block. Then the signal from that block is going to leg muscles, and then there is a accelerator, pedal, linkages, and engine, vehicle. So now this is one forward path. Okay, so you can imagine driving an automobile. So where you want to achieve desired speed. Okay, so say around 60 kilometer per hour. Okay, so now with that desired speed, okay, so some force is applied on the accelerator pedal, and because of that, okay, vehicle starts moving with a definite speed. So later, that see that reached speed can be now imagined like a output speed. Okay, so assume that your desired speed was 60, but now the reached output speed, imagine that it is around 40 kilometer per hour. Okay, so therefore, so now that information will be given to the driver through speedometer, or you can say that there is a visual link from the speedometer, so which will be observed by the driver. So therefore, as soon as the driver recognizes that, okay, the desired speed of 60 kilometer per hour is not reached, then what he does is he will increase the force on the accelerator pedal with an intention of increasing the speed. So because of increasing the force on the pedal, so now this time the output may go to 80 kilometer per hour. But again, the desired speed of 60 is not reached. Okay, so it is still more than the desired value only. In that case, what the driver does, he will again reduce the force on the accelerator pedal. So now the speed reduces. So probably this time he may reach exactly 60. So once a desired speed of 60 is reached, which is nothing but the output speed in this case, so then what happens? The driver further stops applying force on the accelerator pedal, and thereby vehicle starts moving with a constant speed of 60 km per hour. So therefore, from this example, what is understood is, so there is always some reference input, or like in this example, a desired speed is there. Okay, in order to achieve that, all the elements involved, which are known as controlled elements involved, okay, so they are working. So now whenever there is a difference between the desired speed and the achieved speed, or desired output and the obtained output, okay, so then that information is conveyed back to the input. So here in this case, through speedometer, how the driver is knowing that the speed is not reached or speed is more than what is required. Okay, so through speedometer he will read what is the speed of the vehicle, and accordingly the driver's eyes and brain, which forms the first block of the control system, okay, so he takes a decision whether to increase the force on the accelerator pedal or reduce the force. Okay, so therefore he does accordingly. Okay, so he tries to achieve, okay, so the desired speed. And all these, that is leg muscles, pedal, linkages, carburetor, engine, vehicle, and fuel flow, so all these are involved in controlling the output speed. Okay, so therefore now this control action is now possible because there is a speedometer. Okay, and there is a reading of the speedometer by the driver. Okay, so therefore here the driver himself acts as a feedback path, or you can say the it forms like a visual link through speedometer. Okay, so therefore this is called as a manual closed loop system, because after reading the speedometer, the driver manually he reduces or he takes a decision. whether to reduce the force or increase the force. So this is an example of a manually controlled closed loop system, and in day-to-day activity we experience this also whenever you're driving in any automobile. So therefore here now this is another block diagram showing automobile steering control system. Okay, so this is also an example for manually controlled system only. So now here this is an example showing a particular direction. Okay, so assume that the driver is going in a particular direction on a road. Okay, so then here the steering action is most important in this case. Okay, so if the steering wheel is not held constant, so then there are chances that the driver may deviate from the actual path. Okay, so then what happens, the automobile or the vehicle will start moving in a different direction. Okay, so as soon as the driver recognizes that, okay, so the vehicle is not following the particular lane, or the vehicle is not going on the particular path, then what he does is, okay, again he uses measurement or visual and tactile. So in the sense he measures what is the difference between the actual path and where the vehicle is going. So therefore after getting that information, so then he will change the steering mechanism. Okay, so he may slightly rotate the steering wheel so that vehicle will start again going in the desired path. Okay, so therefore here you can say that two feedback paths are involved. Okay, so therefore what is the first forward path is when the driver recognizes that vehicle is not going on the path. Okay, vehicle is not going on the desired path, so that forms one feedback path. Okay, so where through his eyes and brain he recognizes that vehicle has started moving in a different direction. Then once he recognizes, what he does is he changes the steering mechanism. Okay, so he changes the steering wheel so that the direction of the moving vehicle is changed. So therefore here in the second feedback, steering wheel sensor is also shown. So after getting inputs from these two feedback paths, okay, so then whatever the error signal that is generated, when the error is generated, whenever our actual course of travel doesn't match with the desired course of travel. Okay, or you can, in simple sentences, you can say that whenever the actual path of traveling is not same as the desired path of traveling, so then obviously that is the error. Okay, so therefore now after receiving the inputs from both these two paths, okay, so driver does some correction in the steering mechanism. Okay, so he does the correction in such a way that the difference between the actual course of travel and the desired course is reduced, so that the vehicle will start moving in a correct path. Okay, so this we experience daily whenever you are driving an automobile. Okay, so as soon as you feel that vehicle is going in a different way, so then obviously we are going to turn the steering wheel, we are going to change the direction so that we go in a proper way which is desired. Okay, so therefore here the generation of error, okay, so this is a most important signal for the driver in order to correct. Okay, so once he gets the feedback, then automatically uh, driver through his senses will decide so what to do, in which direction to rotate the steering wheel, whether on the right side or the left side, so that he can correct this difference between actual course of travel and the desired course. Okay, so therefore now every operation is done now through the manual changing of the control mechanism here. So therefore that's why this is taken as an example of manually controlled automobile steering system. But anyway, this is also an example for a feedback system where the feedback is again obtained from visual measurements as well as the steering wheel sensors. So therefore now how to draw a general block diagram of an automatic control system. Okay, so therefore in order to say that it is an automatic control system, okay, so what are the elements that should be involved? Okay, so technically how do we recognize those elements? So now this diagram is applicable for any automobile system or any other mechanical system for that matter. So now in the beginning of the block diagram, what we have is a reference input. Okay, so this you can imagine like a desired speed. So I want to drive the vehicle at 100 km/h speed. Okay, so that is a desired one input, or that we take it as a reference input. Okay, so next, Then there are control elements in the block diagram. Okay, so now what are these control elements? So these are nothing but the elements so whose parameters are controlled. For example, in the previous automobile system, so what are this? Steering mechanism and whatever the accelerator, pedal, linkages, carburetor. So all these are known as now control elements. Okay, so the elements which receive the signal and whose parameters are adjusted in order to achieve the desired output. So they are the control elements. So next it will go to the plant. So it is also a controlled member in the total system. Okay, so then out of plant you are going to get the controlled output. Okay, so now from the output there is a feedback path. Okay, so which has actually many elements which are known as feedback path elements. Now these elements, so they receive part of the output, controlled output, and they will feed it back to the input side. Okay, so then there can be a positive or there can be a negative feedback. Okay, so but anyway, by combining reference input along with the signal coming from the feedback path, an error signal will be generated. Okay, so now in the previous example, so desired speed was 100 km, but actually imagine that the vehicle is running at a speed of 80 km. Okay, so then the feedback element, it is nothing but what driver's eyes and brain are going to recognize that, oh, my vehicle is not going at 100 km. So then whatever he recognizes, that is the 20 km/h less speed, that itself is a error now. Okay, so that's itself will act as a error signal. So once he recognizes that error, so then he will work on it, that is he will increase the force on the accelerator pedal till the speedometer shows 100 kilometers. Okay, so therefore now the feedback elements function is give information about the output. Okay, so they are fed back to the input signal, and along with the reference input there is some comparison with the reference input, like 100 is 100 kilometers compared with the 80 km. Now the difference or the error is nothing but there is a 20 km/h difference is there. Okay, so that is the error signal. So now in order to eliminate that error, what action further has to take place? Okay, in automobile system we are going to increase the pressure on the pedal so that the speed will be increased to 100 kilometers. Okay, so therefore this is like a continuous loop. Okay, so as long as error is present, then the continuous action will take place. Okay, so therefore now all these things, that is control element, plant and control output, they are part of the forward path elements. Okay, so this feedback path element is nothing but, of course, it is the in the feedback section. So therefore this error detector and the control element, okay, so they are known as controller. Okay, and also whatever the difference that we are going to generate by comparing with the reference input, that is called error signal, or it is also known as actuating signal. Okay, so that signal will actuate further blocks or the control element blocks in order to take some action in such a way to reduce the error between a reference input and the controlled output. So therefore this particular block diagram shows a general setup in a closed loop control system. So here is one example of a closed loop system. So what is this? This is the automatic tank level control system. Okay, so it is just not like your block diagram. It is actually a physical system. So where there is some water tank is there. Okay, and in this tank we want to maintain certain water level or the liquid level. Okay, whether the water level or the liquid level is at the correct level or not, okay, so that has to be sensed in order to take any action. Okay, whether to fill the tank or leave it as it is, that decision will be based on what? Sensing the level. Okay, so that sensing action will be now done by this particular arrangement, that is by the float. Okay, so whenever the water level has gone below the desired level h, small h, okay, so then um, this is going to actuate. So this is going to actuate the potentiometer arm here, B. Okay, so that potentiometer difference is going to further drive this motor and the power amplifier, so that it is going to act on the valve V2 and the tank will be filled up. Tank will be filled up. Okay. So therefore, this particular action is based, okay, so on so how much or up to what level uh, that particular tank is filled up here. Okay. So here the slider arm A, there is a slider arm A which is the another potentiometer. So this potentiometer is positioned, it is corresponding to the desired liquid level H, that is capital H. Okay, so here the desired level will be capital H and actually obtained level will be small h. Okay, so actually what we want these two to be equal. But if there is any difference, then the potentiometer arms B and A, okay, so they form the control elements now. So they are going to act such that they are going to actuate the motor. Okay, so because of this, okay, that is when the liquid level rises or the falls, these potentiometers are going to give an error voltage. So therefore the potentiometer here acts like a error detector. Okay. And whatever that error voltage is generated, that will be proportional to the change in the liquid level. Okay. So therefore, once that error is detected, so then it is going to further control the opening or closing of the valve V2. Okay, so this valve V2 is operated so as to restore the desired liquid level or the water level inside the tank. Okay, so thus this particular system um, automatically works in order to maintain a correct water level inside the tank. So therefore here it is important to recognize that these potentiometers, they act as a error detector, and whatever this error voltage is generated, whatever error voltage is there, this acts as a actuating signal. Okay, so therefore, oh, from these examples and from the previous block diagrams also, so we come to know that the fundamental difference, okay, so between a closed loop and an open loop control system is the feedback action. Okay, so this is the main concept which is going to differentiate an open loop and closed loop control system. So for example, in a traffic control system, so you know that the traffic lights are operating so as to control the vehicle congestion. So now here, if the traffic light system, if it is operated, okay, or if it is programmed or preset to some different interval of time, and if it keeps on changing according to that time, irrespective of the traffic, then it becomes a open loop, because there the traffic lights are not changing according to the traffic, it is simply changing according to its preset values. So therefore there is no interaction between the rate at which the lights are changing as well as the amount of traffic that we have. Simply for whatever it is programmed to, according to that the lights keep on changing. So such an arrangement is called as a open loop system. Okay, but if there is any provision where the traffic lights are going to change depending on the congestion, or depending on the distance at which the vehicles are coming, or depending on the density of the vehicles. Okay, so then we can imagine that there is a continuous interaction between the lights, okay, that is the time at which the lights are changing as well as the amount of traffic that we have. Okay, so unless until there is no interaction between the time of changing the lights and the traffic, okay, so or the congestion, then it will be known as an open loop system only. Okay, so therefore that's what, so the whatever the feedback action is there, okay, so that is what is the main theme which is going to differentiate between a closed loop and a open loop system. So in an open loop system there will not be any feedback. Okay, so for the applied input or for the received input, okay, so like this traffic system, so the system keeps on working, that's all, generating some definite output. or sometimes the output may go uncontrolled also, because there is no provision to correct the errors. Okay, so in open loop system there is no method to control the errors or detect the errors. Okay, so but whereas in a closed loop system there will be a continuous interaction between output and the input, and continuously the outputs are being tracked. Okay, so therefore what is that feedback? So therefore now we can say the meaning of feedback is the information about instantaneous state of the output. Okay, instantaneous state of the output is fed back to the input, and that information which is fed back to the input is used to modify the output such that a desired output is achieved. Okay, so it is used to modify in such a manner so as to achieve the desired output. Okay, so therefore this is how we can define what is the meaning of the feedback. Okay, so therefore now in order to achieve all these things, okay, so we need to design uh, the feedback elements, and a lot of mathematical modeling of the physical systems is required. Okay, so therefore in the next sessions we will see so how to develop the mathematical modeling for these control systems.